Hey everybody, this is General Mike Flynn's Twitter account. This is the guy that Donald Trump named Director of National Intelligence during his first term in 2017, and here he is celebrating Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's current Director of National Intelligence. But I got something to tell you about both of them, and that's that less than a year before that 2016 election in December 2015, the Russians paid Mike Flynn $45,000 to fly to Moscow and deliver a speech and sit at a table with Vladimir Putin, and that's Mike Flynn right there. But Mike only lasted a few weeks on the job because on December 29th of 2016, Obama expelled 35 diplomats from the US and also imposed sanctions on Russia for their hacking of the election. And Mike Flynn called the Russian ambassador that night on Trump's behalf to tell him to inform Putin not to retaliate and that they'd smooth this all over when Trump became president in 20 days. And the next morning when Putin didn't retaliate, Trump tweeted out, "Great move on delay by Vladimir Putin. I always knew he was very smart," at 11:41 a.m. on December 30th, 2016. Now, isn't it funny that the accusation is that Obama undermined Trump's presidency, but this is literally Donald Trump undermining Obama's sanctions the day he puts them on Russia and then celebrating on Twitter when Vladimir Putin follows his instructions. But things fell apart a couple of weeks later when reporters got wind of Mike Flynn's call with the Russian ambassador, and Mike Pence here went ahead and asked Mike Flynn what they discussed on that call.
Let me ask you about, it was reported by David Ignatius that the incoming National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, was in touch with the Russian ambassador on the day the United States government announced sanctions for Russian interference with the election. Did that contact help with that Russian kind of moderate response to it, that there was no counter-reaction from Russia? Did the Flynn conversation help pave the way for that sort of more temperate Russian response?
I talked to General Flynn about that conversation. It actually was initiated when on Christmas Day he had sent a text to the Russian ambassador to express not only Christmas wishes but sympathy for the loss of life in the airplane crash that took place. It was strictly coincidental that they had a conversation. They did not discuss anything having to do with the United States decision to expel diplomats or impose a censure against Russia.
And the problem with Mike Flynn lying to Mike Pence is that the United States had recorded all of those calls between Mike Flynn and the Russian ambassador, and the fact that he lied to the incoming VP meant that Michael Flynn could be compromised by the Russians. And that's when the acting Attorney General Sally Yates rushed to the White House. She said that they believed that General Flynn was compromised with respect to the Russians and that it would make him vulnerable to blackmail by Moscow. But did Donald Trump take her seriously? Nope. 4 days later, Yates was fired for refusing to defend President Trump's travel ban. But Flynn didn't just lie to Mike Pence, he also lied to the FBI and pled guilty to lying about 2 different conversations with that Russian ambassador. But like all things Trump, things are only illegal if you're not doing his bidding, and so Trump pardoned Michael Flynn on November 25th, 2020. So is anyone else concerned that Trump's first-term pick for the Director of National Intelligence clearly had Russian ties, and that his current Director of National Intelligence has had sympathetic views towards Russia and has spewed Russian propaganda for years?